Good day, good evening, good afternoon, whatever it might be in your podcast world. Welcome to Martial Arts and Life. I'm your host, Kris Wilder. About 20 years ago, I was sitting in a pizzeria and I stopped eating my pizza and just sat and listened, which was highly unusual for me at that time in my life. We had finished training that Saturday afternoon at the dojo. We had all traveled from around the Puget Sound to the home dojo, and it was browns and black belts, higher ranks. And after we'd finished the training, we went to the local pizzeria, a fellowship sort of thing, and it's a good thing. And as we were sitting there in the post-training pizza and sodas, I sat next to the head instructor. I didn't know Sensei well. We had been on the floor several times at this point over the course of the years, but I never really knew a whole lot about him. Just the top-line stuff that one would know. But it was in this social setting that he revealed something that was, well, it stopped me. And I don't recall what led to this part of the conversation, but I do remember the words, and this is what he said. When my son died, Shion told me to get my butt out on the dojo floor. When my son died. That was a powerful statement. And we all kind of took a pause and listened. And he explained that he had lost his infant son, and it had, rightfully so, kicked the legs out from underneath him. Shortly after the pause, there were the, I'm sorry that happened, and what a horrible thing. And then what happened, and when was that? He explained it. Still, a powerful time, powerful moment in my martial arts training over a piece of pizza. What Shihan had said to him was that he needed to get his butt out on the dojo floor. A simple, kind of direct command. But there were three aspects to it that I think are really significant. The first one is that mandate, that command to get back out on the dojo floor was a command to engage in physical activity. Now, there are umpteen million studies and books about the linking of physical activity and health to the good mental aspects of life. Like I said, study after study. We all pretty much know this, I'm sure by now, because we all feel better after we've had some time on the floor, whether it's rolling on the mats in a jiu-jitsu or judo class, or whether it's doing forms in a taekwondo class. All of these things are the same thing. They are physical activity. They are movement and activity. And in these studies that you can go and look at, you'll see that they'll talk about improved sleep, increased interest in sex, better endurance, stress relief, improvement in mood, increased energy or stamina, and reduced tiredness. That's really a strange thing, how when you become depressed a little bit, or deeply depressed, how the tiredness takes over. It's hard to get motivated. You can't find that hook. And of course, there's always the classic weight reduction. But physical activity makes all the difference in the world. The second part of this is social. We are social animals. Think of this. One of the most horrific sentences a person could have experienced over the majority of the course of time was the shunning from one's group or tribe. You don't belong to us anymore. We don't speak to you. you're as good as dead. And I don't mean that in a metaphorical way. All of your support is gone. And if you can't find another tribe to link to, you will die or live a short, nasty, brutal life of bare subsistence and just barely hanging on. Shunning is horrific. It's even more horrific if we do it to ourselves. And that was the second part of this, was that there was this need for social connectivity. And by getting out on the floor with people that you train with and have come to be around and know their hearts, what better place could you possibly be than with these people all engaging in the same activity? It's different than a gym. You go to a gym, you put on your headphones, you get on the bike, whatever it is, and you're kind of in your own world. It's a solo practice set in a group atmosphere, but there's no linking, no community. In martial arts, you get that linking and that community, and you get it fairly deep. In fact, it's even deep enough that somebody might reveal that they lost their infant son. A deep and profound share. The third thing is that there's a destination, that there is a goal, there is somewhere to be, something to do, a place to look forward to. Because as you start to engage in this, the physical activity stimulates that movement, activity, health aspect. And then you get in with social people that are like-minded and have the same agenda. And that becomes pretty special. That destination point, that goal, that reason to get up. And you can hear people speak to that who've experienced great loss in their life or great tragedy. They'll say things like, that was my reason. That's what I had to focus on. I couldn't let other people down. I had to do it. We all have tragedy in our lives. It's inevitable. It's part of the human existence. If you haven't experienced tragic loss in your life, rest assured, it's coming. But that's part of the human condition. And that's what this is about, is pushing forward with that goal, that destination, engaging with your social group, and doing it with physical activity. Now, this conversation could sound a little dour, that we're all going to experience tragedy if we haven't experienced tragedy. I mean, what kind of sword of Damocles is that hanging over us? And to have somebody lose an infant is, I don't know how much more difficult it could be than to have that happen. As we look at these things and we realize that that simple statement, get your butt out on the dojo floor, directly spoke to these three essential aspects of how we have to deal with life. We're fortunate as martial artists that we have a physical activity. We don't have to go look for it. We don't have to go find that gym. We don't have to decide to do something else. We don't have to go make a new social structure because it already exists. And it already exists of accepting people who are on the same trajectory. And then the most important thing is there's that motivation, that destination. When he was told to get his butt out on the dojo floor, he was given a destination. The physical activity and the social aspect, that followed. And today, well, I don't know that the pain has really ever gone away. I'm sure that it can be visited over any loss that you or I have experienced, or my then sensei. But we're gifted with something truly unique. And as we face the challenges in our lives, lean into your art. Lean into it, because that's where you're going to find those three elements that are essential to dealing with and overcoming the tragedies that occur in our lives.
The 87-Fold Path to Being the Best Martial Artist. 87 Social and Psychological Tips for Living Beyond the Physical. A book designed for the martial artist who's seeking the edge to life that exists both inside and outside of the training hall. Read reviews and samples at Amazon.com today.
And now, welcome to We're All in This Together. A while back, I volunteered as a football coach assistant. My responsibilities weren't in regard to plays or organization, offensive coordinator or anything like that. What I was doing was at the behest of the assistant head coach, and the head coach was pretty happy to have me as well. What I did was motivation and body technique, hand technique, body positioning, things of this order. And it was a tough school. A lot of tough kids, I guess is a good way to put it. One of the games that we were playing was at Memorial Stadium, which is directly under the shadow of the Space Needle in downtown Seattle. What they would do is play several games a night, and we were the first game that evening. And as it does in Seattle, it rained, and it was cold. And it's a gentle rain, and it is a fall cold, and it just goes right through your muscles, straight to your bones. As the game began to wear on, some of the players were experiencing cramps. However, they get to that point, whether it's hydration or potassium or just plain they're prone to cramping, who knows. But the team was not deep. That means they had their star players, and then there was a significant drop-off in the talent to the next player that was out on the field. So it was pretty important in this particularly tight game that there was no substitution. The best had to be on the field all the time. So when one of the defensive backs, and by any standard, this kid was big, healthy, strong, long of body, very muscular, and a heck of a athlete. I mean, this kid was smooth when he ran, and he jumped like the proverbial gazelle. It was critical that he stay in the game, and a combination of the weather and what other attributes, he comes off the field and he's cramping. Well, the first thing he does is he gets over to the trainer, and she puts him down on the bench and starts doing the things that you'd expect, like pushing the toes back and lifting the leg, trying to get the muscle to stretch and relax. And after a minute or two of this, he was okay, bounced up off the table, and out onto the field he went. Now, soon he returned with cramps again. When he came off the field, he came to my end of the bench. And I said, "You're cramping." And he went, yeah. And I said, "Lay down on the ground." And he, looked at the wet turf. And I said, "Lay down." And he laid down. I said, "Give me the leg." And he lifted his leg up. I looked at him and I said, "This is going to hurt. And you're going to cuss at me, but it's going to get you on the field." And he said, "Go for it." Well, I started applying some nerves that I knew about from my martial arts training. And I don't know exactly how it works. You could say that it blocks the tendency to cramp, or it impedes it. I'm not going to get into that aspect of it because I would just be blowing smoke. I don't really know how it works. I just know that it does. And so I found the nerves and got on him, and he started grunting. He didn't cuss, but he started grunting and kind of wiggling around a little bit. And after about 30 seconds of this, I suppose, I said, "Get up." And he got up, and he kind of looked at me, and his eyes kind of opened up a little bit, and he ran in place for a second. And then you hear the coach scream, "Get in there." And boom, he was gone onto the field, and he was playing. Well, a little bit later in the game, there's a timeout, and everybody's huddled up or starting to huddle up to hear what the coach has to say. And one of the other kids comes off the field, and he's cramping up too. I kind of met him. I said, "Come over here." I said, "Lay down on the ground." And he kind of looked at me, and the guy who I had just done the cramps on a while ago, a couple minutes ago, looked at him and he said, "Lay down on the ground. He's going to do some Mr. Miyagi shit on you." And so the kid laid down, and I did the same thing to him. And he got up and kind of looked at me and sort of moved his legs. And the other guy said, "Yeah, it works, doesn't it?" And he's like, yeah. And the whistle blows, and boom, they go back out on the field and played the rest of the game. At this point, I kind of became unpopular with the trainer. I don't think she really was taking a shine to me to begin with, but now I had done something that was probably considered her venue and did something that she didn't understand. And for the rest of the season, we didn't really have any conversations. She didn't ask me how that was done, what was going on, or even to stop it. That, well, that's not authorized or whatever, nothing, no conversation whatsoever. Well, from that point on, I was pretty much in with the kids at that point. And I had an opportunity to work with them on some mental development, a little positive mental attitude, because it was a tough season. It was hard. When you're not doing well and you're losing close games, that's tough. It's a little tougher than losing blowouts, actually, because you're just close enough, but you're not getting there. And then, of course, hope springs eternal, and you cue it up for the next game. It was a fun experience. I enjoyed working with that coaching staff, and I enjoyed working with the kids. In fact, one day I was in a restaurant. This kid says, "Hey, Sensei." Well, I didn't know him. And I said, "Yeah, what's up?" And he kind of realized that I didn't recognize him. And he said, "Hey, man, it's so-and-so from, the football." "Oh, yeah, how you doing?" And we were able to catch up a little bit and find out what was going on. And he asked me actually what I thought of what his next endeavor was going to be. And, well, I was ready, willing, and able to chime in with an idea or two. It was a great experience working with these young people that got a chance to get a glimpse of another way of dealing with things, some mental approach, and some technique that they could use to realize that they were better than they really were giving themselves credit for. And it was really a delight. So, hey, if you get a chance to help with some kind of coaching and you get a chance to bring your martial arts into it, boy, don't hesitate. It's a great thing to be able to take what's in the dojo or the dojang or the kwan and bring that out into the world, into a new environment, and let them experience it. I'm pretty confident that that pressure point work that I did would have been considered absolutely normal and no questions asked if it had been done in my karate school. But out on the edge of the football field, it lost context, and it kind of looked like magic, or, as the kids said, some Mr. Miyagi shit. Hey, thanks for listening to Martial Arts in Life. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to contact me at chriswilder@chriswilder.com. I'm always available there. And until next time, be well.